When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I am Andy Signore, and I'm here with two amazing friends. We got It's Kim and Steph, the Alter Nerd, are here. How you doing, ladies?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here. I need to do two of those things. I'll figure that out later. It's going to be too big as I'm typing it, but there she is as I sort that out. Welcome to the show. Wow, this case kind of got crazy. We have some more updates on this case of Nicola Bulley. Now, I don't like to speculate too much when it's, obviously such a serious case and missing mom. If you guys missed the first installment of us sort of breaking down the case, we did that earlier this week. You can go watch that first video to get more of a rundown of the timeline quickly, and then come on over back if you want. Yeah, new information's coming in that's just starting to make me go, something is sus. We were starting to feel that way before, but I want to go through some updates that we're getting. Friends, family, experts are all now coming forward saying something is off. Friend of missing women insists other avenues for police need to be explored. And then, the diver, an expert diver, is given these new updates explaining the body couldn't have been swept downriver. The experts don't believe she is in the river. In fact, there's multiple we're going to go through as the diving experts have basically stopped the search in the river, saying, no, she's not in the river. But where it gets weirder is that the experts believe the phone may have been left as a decoy. Like, what? Basically, as a third party, may have left that phone there to confuse investigators. This was from an expert that her partner, Paul, brought in. This underwater search expert was brought in to help with the search and was there and looked in all these areas and has come to this deduction themselves saying something is off. Now, we're going to go through all this, but I want to go through you two first. Steph, this is more in your neck of the woods. First of all, are you surprised that it's starting to trickle over here in our news cycle?
No, because there's so many twists and turns, so many unanswered questions, so much that just doesn't make sense. That when you have a case like this, that the internet sleuths are going to jump on board, because there's so much to unpack and so much to figure out. So I'm not surprised in that regard. I'm also not surprised that at the end of the day, the divers are turning around and being like, yeah, she's definitely not here. If anything, I'm more surprised that it's taken this long, because the River Wyre that they've been searching isn't, well, in this case, in its current state, isn't one of those fast-flowing rivers. Currently, it's very slow. So it should have really only taken them realistically like a couple of days, maybe 3-4 days at the most, to search it and be like, yeah, she ain't here. Why it's taken them this long to then be like, yeah, she ain't in the river? That's the bit for me. I'm like, really? It's such a calm river. What the deuce? What the absolute deuce?
Yeah, it's getting weird now. Kim, they family has been like saying like, we don't speculate. It's not helping. But now that these things are coming forward, all these experts and family members putting their own searches and whatnot. What are your thoughts on this? Should we be speculating more? Are you starting to think this is fishy?
I think it's fishy. I am so... Here's my thing. I try to listen to police. As much as I don't always agree with police, I understand that investigations are complicated and they usually know more than what the public knows. So if they're telling people not to speculate, there's a reason that they're saying it. And when they're saying that it's a difficulty, that they are backed up with like thousands of pieces of information that they're trying to wade through. And then people are just flooding their phones or their inboxes with theories and whatever, and that slows them down. I understand their frustration because ultimately they want to find her. They want to find her. They want to close this case. And anything that's making that harder for them, I understand why they're saying to everybody that they need to shut up. But at the same time, this is weird. This is really, really, really weird. And there is a level here, I think, of normal human curiosity of going like, you know, as you know, friend of the show Pascal has said, the math ain't mathin', guys. It doesn't make sense, and I got to agree with that because it's not.
Yeah, and I think you were talking too. Like, there's might be a point of this, or the authorities may be telling us to back off or no, because there may be another thread that they just are currently working privately. You know what I mean? Maybe there is more to it. So take that as you will. But let's uncover some of these new tips that have come in. We also have another one we're working on that we were going to try to do today, but I just didn't organize as much. Steph's been working on, but I'll try to, if this is still happening by tomorrow or so on, we do have some potential motives that we were looking into from a financial standpoint that we will get into as well tomorrow. But let's go through some of the updates that were today because they were pretty massive. Before I do, Tinkle Tits McGee, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Happy Tuesday, all. Thank you for supporting. Tinkle Tits is always there to remind us all the importance of tipping your creators. You're so generous and kind. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us. And Fairies of Venus dropped a big one the other day. Thank you again, and you're back. Kidnapping or she ran off are the only possibilities. Also, while I'm at thanking you guys, Claire Hume, a member of 7 months. So good to see you. 7-month Planeteer. Love you all and love all you do. Well, thank you so much. You guys can hit that join button. You'll get the replays, but also you'll become a member, which Jennifer Batten just did. Welcome to Planeteer, becoming a Planeteer. I think there's a couple more I'll get to you guys in a second. But thank you guys for supporting the stream as you can. Algorithm's been rough to us this month, but you guys keep us going, so appreciate you more than anything. All right, so where do we stand on the updates? So yes, they brought in this expert diver. I have a bunch of links. They're all so many things coming around, but this diver was apparently brought in by Paul, the partner. Peter Faulding is this underwater search expert who was there, brought in all the gear, etc. But hold on here. Paul spent around 10 minutes close to the bench overlooking the River Wyre as the search continued, but he was told by the underwater expert, Paul Faulding, called in by the family to help the hunt, that Miss Bulley had still not been found. Mr. Faulding said he was baffled after failing to find the mortgage advisor who vanished on January 27th after dropping her two daughters, aged 6 and 9, at school. Then taking her Springer Spaniel Willow for a walk along the river, Miss Bulley's phone was left on the bench near the river, still connected to a work call with the dog lead and harness close by. Mr. Faulding and his team from Rescue Operations Specialist Group International have been searching the area around the bench, the entry point where it is believed by police Miss Bulley fell into the water. But on the third day of his search, Mr. Faulding said efforts have proved negative. He said, well, Paul's extremely obviously upset. He wanted to go and see where the original entry point was again, and the water's a bit lower than it was originally when Nicola went missing. And it's just not a nice place to be. And I'm just trying to explain what work we're doing and give him some confidence that Nicola is not in that river over there. Normally we find them. This is an unusual situation, and hopefully Nicola will appear somewhere or pop up somewhere. I don't know, but with that, I'm totally baffled by this one, to be honest. Normally, a drowning victim goes to the bottom. There was a bit of flow on that river that day, but normally we recover them within a few meters. He said his team had one small section of the river to check again later on Wednesday, but that afterwards his involvement in the search would be over. Search teams from Lancaster Police and Coast Guard, including divers, are now focusing on the 10-mile or so of river downstream of the bench where the river empties into the sea of Morecambe Bay. Superintendent Sally Riley says the police detectives had looked at every single potential suspicion or criminal suggestion that had come in and discounted them. She spoke after suggestions that Miss Bulley's phone could be a decoy, and questions were raised about gaps in CCTV coverage of the area where she vanished from.
Andy?
The lead. Go ahead, Steph.
I think
Yes.
Steph has something to say. Steph, you're muted.
Andy, please scroll up just for a moment. Scroll up just a little bit more. There we go. Stop. Firstly, Lancashire and Morecambe, and her name is Nicola, not Nicola.
Nicola. Okay, thank you.
Nicola. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just had Schitt's Creek flashbacks to like baby. I love you, Andy.
Nicola.
Thank you.
Sorry, you know I'm going to get all these English names wrong, Steph. So please keep
Pronunciation
going.
I know.
is none of our friends.
Can't
In all
get-
fairness.
This is why,
American
as your
names right.
professional
Shut up.
UK British English person on the channel, I am
He's
here.
flipping
I've got
out
your
muted.
back.
There we go. The lead harness was there. Police said it was still a possibility. She left the area by one path not covered by cameras, which is crossed by the main road through the village. And officers were trying to trace dashboard camera footage from 700 drivers who passed along the road at the time she disappeared around 9:20, which is wild they can figure that out. Mr. Faulding has said if his team does not find Miss Bulley in the water using his sonar equipment, then he believes she has not been in the river and raised third-party involvement in the disappearance. But Miss Riley told reporters at the press conference at the village that Mr. Faulding is not included in all of the investigation detail. Well, that's just weird, right? Because I want to pause there for a minute because we got some more information, these things that will go through his account, but that sort of sums up the gist of it. What could he not be included in if they keep saying she's in the river and we got a river expert who literally just sonared and went up and down the river and knows how the river flows and is saying she wouldn't have gone down? What on earth? I mean, it couldn't have been swept down river, etc. He's this search and rescue expert. I've been looking him up, Steph. Like, this guy's legit. This is not just like some random dude showing up with or even YouTubers or whatever. Like, this guy's a professional searcher and goes and does this. What on earth could he be missing that the investigators would have to justify that she's in the river? That makes no sense to me. Steph, what do you think?
Don't make any sense. I just don't. The river situation, I've said it once and I'll say it again. They can scour the river all they want. They just took too much time over it, and I don't understand why. I mean, you can see there, look at that picture there. It's still water. It's calm. It's not in an area where that river is gushing and gushing and gushing, right? It's so easy to be able to scour that river in 3-4 days and figure out, is she there or not? I think they've just lost a lot of time, a lot of time. And I think it'll be, I hope they find her, but I think it'll be a miracle now.
I mean, but again, I really am I'm hung up on them, oh, please stop speculating. We know about yada, yada. This whole idea that like, he's not included in all of the investigation detail. She's in the river. He's the river expert. What detail of the river is he missing? This to me, and if the family also doesn't know, right? Because they hired this guy because they're like, clearly the police aren't helping. I don't know. That then points, do they know something about the family or about something else that they're keeping to themselves? What investigation detail would fall along into she fell in the river and you just don't know, Mr. River Expert? Kim, are you as confused as me?
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, and I am of the assumption right now, based on what has been said, that her husband is not involved in her disappearance. I'm saying that from that perspective. I'm saying this from that perspective. I understand him calling in an expert at this point, because if the police knew what they were doing, they would be further along in finding her at this point.
Correct.
So if I was in his shoes, I would be doing the exact same thing and calling in other experts, because it's been how many days now that she's been missing? And we're no further ahead. It's weird.
Correct.
It's weird.
Yeah. And this is why I went towards, well, hang on a minute, spent all this time in this river when it could have just taken 4 or 5 days. Like, at this point, I am not surprised with the incompetence. And I'm not surprised that the partners had to get in a river expert. It's quite clearly at this point, Lancashire Police are not doing the job right. They're just not. They're focused way too much on this river.
Or they're hiding
something. Around and
something.
said, stop speculating, don't speculate, don't speculate. Well, Lancashire Police, a little bit of a reality check. When you tell people and the internet not to do something, guess what? We do it more. So, yeah, you kind of screwed yourself there. And if everyone agrees with that, and if everyone agrees this investigation is a little bit on the sus side, and the police may not have done their job properly, I want you to hit that like button right now. Let's see how many of you agree with us at this point.
Yeah, it's wild because so anyway, I don't get this. If this guy's the river expert, which it seems like he is, again, I don't know this guy, but I think he was MI6 too or something else I read. Like this guy was like no joke, has found a lot of missing people. Like
wow,
is expert on this, and so they bring him in. The cops are like, he doesn't work for us, okay, and he doesn't have all the information. Well, what river information does he need? Because you're either lying or you're being lazy, and one of those is true. Now again, who knows, maybe they'll find her today, maybe she did something. There's still a possibility. Even he's made it clear, he's not saying definitely not, but he's saying from his experience, that's where the signs are leaning. Now let's go to the second thing, which is kind of massive, which is the phone decoy. So all right, I'm just reading more sort of summaries of things. Diver said he's never seen so unusual in this case, has explained why he believes her body can't be swept down the river 11 days after her appearance. Peter Faulding, founder of Specialist Group International, shared he would expect Nicola's, is it Nicola?
Nicola.
Yeah, Nicola's body to have stayed close to the stretch of river where she is believed to have fallen in during the dog walk. Mr. Faulding has also alluded that the phone found at the riverbank may be, keyword may be, a decoy, given that her body has not been found close to that site. He said, I would expect to find Nicola in the water right in front of the bench where she went down. She would not have moved maybe 2 or 3 feet. This is so strange. In my 20-odd years of doing this, I have worked on hundreds of cases. I have never seen anything so unusual. Speaking to BBC Radio 4, Mr. Faulding explained the initial area where Nicola went in, where the bench is, the police thoroughly searched that the same day and did it again days later. From all my experience, I would expect a body, when it goes down and drowns, to go straight down to the bottom and remain there until the body starts to decompose, and then it will start moving. Nicola disappeared in the dog walk, as we know. According to the investigation's website, Peter has worked on many high-profile missing person cases, and nobody murder investigations, including the serial killer Peter Tobin, Linda Razzle, April Jones, the mystery death of the MI6 officer Gareth Williams, and many more. He's trained police search advisors in the military at the Police National Search Center and worked alongside London Fire Brigade. So yeah, this dude seems to have a good resume under his shoulders, and was there to sort of help. Mr. Faulding believes there are certain aspects of the case which do not add up, including the failure to find a body in the river, the placement of the phone, and the fact that no screams had been heard in that area. Speaking to Good Morning Britain, Peter said bodies can get lodged in reeds and show up months later. The sonar won't go into the reeds, but then that's the idea of the divers, and I said before, it was originally searched when she supposedly went in. Normally, when we deal with drowning victims, they go to the bottom and they will stay there for a while. The police divers have done a thorough search of that river twice, and nothing was found. It's one of the most oddest cases I've ever worked on. Underwater search, I'm a forensic diver as well, is a particularly difficult task. Generally, things aren't missed. The divers have done it thoroughly. If anything is there, we will find it. A body will move after a time, but they searched that area and came up with nothing, and that's what's weird here. We are baffled. When asked if Nicola could be in a different part of the river, Mr. Faulding said, unless someone's put her in a different part of the river somewhere, or she's fallen in somewhere, it's a very short stretch. On a normal river, we can scan 10 miles a day for a body and locate it very quickly. If Nicola is not in that stretch of river today, my view is that there is a third party involved, and this was a decoy placed by the river. It could have been placed as a decoy. There is not enough evidence, CCTV, to cover particular areas here. The police are working hard in the background to cover everything. There's been much speculation about Willow the dog was walking, she went missing, and the lack of distress that she was under. That's something I wanted to come to you, Kim, because I've seen this mentioned a few times. Like, he's like, we dealt with a drowning couple a year ago, where a gentleman went in the river, and Ripley, his dog, was screaming by the riverbank when we got there. When we arrived, it was howling and literally pointing exactly where he was. He stayed with his owner. The dog wasn't doing that. Dog wasn't scared. Dog wasn't worried. What do you think? Does the dog part of it even make it more strange for you, Kim, as our resident dog expert?
I'm not quite a dog expert, but I could tell you that the saying of that we see on social media now with lots of memes is behind every strong woman there is a dog following her to the bathroom is 100% true. When you are connected with a dog, when a dog is your dog, they want to be with you all the time. And I can say that separate from my dog's service dog training, she does not ever want to leave me unless she knows that there's help somewhere else. And then when she's looking for that help, she is like Lassie. She is like little Timmy got stuck in the well and needs help, barking her face off. The other thing is that the dog apparently was not found wet whatsoever.
Right. Yeah.
The dog is a spaniel. They love water. They're not afraid of water. The chances of that dog not even having any moisture on their paws or whatsoever, of going to the shore and looking, it just doesn't add up, and it's weird. And I think that's why there's just a lot of dog people that are having questions. Yes, Steph. Sorry.
So, okay, not exactly. Yes, spaniels are very much water dogs, but one thing I found out in the story is that she used to take a ball and throw it, but stopped doing that because the dog used to go in the river. A lot of us in the UK we'll try and have our dogs avoid going into river, avoid going into ponds, this, that, and the other, because we don't want them to catch anything, and we don't want to catch anything either. And then we've got to take them home, and we've got to dry them off and do all that stuff, and we just ain't got no time for that. So chances are that it was purposeful, that there was no water on the paws or anywhere on Willow, the spaniel, in that regard. I'll keep it 100 there.
It's entirely possible. It may have been a trained behavior for Willow to not go in the water. But there also is absolutely situations where dogs are trained not to do a specific behavior for whatever reason. But dogs aren't stupid. They understand a lot more than we give them credit for. And if they know that there's a danger, sometimes they will, throw caution to the wind and just go. So I think it absolutely could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, what's also interesting, there's now the theory. So before I go to the kidnapping theory, because I want to talk that through too, like this decoy phone, I just don't want to leave that alone. Like that's strange. This is it's not a strange theory, but my goodness, that opens up so many questions if that's what it was. Because if you think about it, yeah, if you want to confuse the case, leave her phone on a call there. Why would the person have known she was on this conference call? My head goes more to maybe she was doing that as the alibi, right? To sort of then get by more time to leave it at a place, and then she goes off somewhere else, and they're going to stay so focused on that area, she has more time to go away. How would she have known that the CCTV was down, though, or the kidnapper or whatever? Because again, if this went another way, I don't see why she would have left her phone on that bench unless she fell in that area of the water. I agree with the investigator. That makes sense to me. You wouldn't, I don't know why you'd leave it there and then go miles down the river, I guess to save the dog, maybe. But still, it just seems off. So the decoy phone, thoughts on that? I mean, to me, that you got to remember, not only could it be a decoy phone, but then she's on that conference call. So what does that even mean? Were they got her on a conference call on a decoy phone? My head's spinning on what that all means. Why would anyone have done that? Do either of you have any theories on this?
If we look at the time frame that we do know of, so about what, 9:01, if I remember rightly, or just past 9, she goes on to the conference call at work that's scheduled, that she always goes on. It's one of those ones that's regular, right? The meeting ends, but as the meeting ends, she doesn't then log out. You know how like we're on Zoom right now, and then after the stream, we're still on Zoom, we might have a little bit of a chat and then we go. Well, she didn't log out then at that point. She stayed in. Why? We don't know. To then keep staying in there when that meeting officially had ended at that point, it was done, and leave it on the bench, I don't know. I would never leave my phone on a bench. I'd have it in my pocket. I'd have it in my bag. I'd have it on me at all times. I wouldn't just leave it on bench, go over to my dog, do what I'm doing, and then come back over, because it could get nicked.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So it being left on the bench, I've no idea. My mind's racing to the most nefarious kind of idea, that a conspiracy theory, which is it is a decoy and it wasn't left by her. It was left by whoever took her.
So to
Because
clarify,
they didn't want to
even
get tracked.
Yeah, and to be clarified, I guess I read into it too much. It's not a decoy phone. It would be her phone left as a decoy, which these headlines do say. So sorry if I was confusing everybody, because I was confusing myself. Yes, the theory being whoever I guess would have taken her, had her phone, and then left her phone on that bench to keep people more focused on that. So I guess that is clarified a bit more. But then others have said in the chat, and I want to add this, and I'm going to go to your thoughts, Kim, on this decoy aspect of it all. Why would she have left on her own and then left the kids? I mean, unless there was some sort of relationship trouble that she was scared. Still, why would you leave your kids in all of this situation? I can't make sense of it. I don't understand how that would have made sense. Now, if someone else took her and left the phone there to sort of put their scent somewhere else to buy more time, that I guess makes more sense. Out of all these theories, Kim, where are you leaning?
My own personal speculation is I believe that she was taken and that it was planned. That's my gut. That is my gut speculation opinion. I think there's so much of this that's just very convenient, and that always makes me think that there's a bigger player at work, because I don't think she would have just up and left her kids. Normally, if someone is experiencing that type of mental distress, there are signs prior that I think we would have heard by now, that she wasn't doing well, or friends noticed there was something wrong, or her husband noticed there was something wrong. It just doesn't seem to make much sense. And not only that, but I doubt someone, even in their mental health, like being upset and wanting to run, that they would let their dog be left in danger like that. I can't see that. But that's just my opinion.
So, I mean, that's where the theories then go. Who other avenues of what could happen here? If the expert of the river is saying she didn't fall in that river, what happened to her is now what the question is. Why are the cops telling us all to stop speculating? They keep saying she's in the river. She's in the river. Well, here we have a diving expert who's like, I've checked the river. They've checked the river. Unless they checked it poorly, which I guess could still be an option, right? That could be one solution here, where the cops did a terrible job. They didn't actually search, and she's in an area that they just didn't get to yet. But even this guy, it seems, did it. He's like, within a few days, we would have covered 10 miles. I'm at a loss as to why they can keep telling us, oh yeah, it was just, she tripped and fell in the river. Well, then where is she? It's been too long. She should be in that river. Could there be a kidnapping? Is that what's happening here? Again, huge speculation. They're telling us not to do this, but yeah, as Steph said, if you tell us not to do something, we start getting even more sus. Go ahead, Kim.
If I can also just say, I think it's important that I understand what the cops are saying in that regard, but I think there is a difference between having, an opinion and a hypothesis and being respectful about it, and calling the police department and flooding their phone or their email with theories that are not, thorough or whatever, or that you don't have insider information. You are just being an armchair detective and sharing things, because that is distracting to them. That's not okay. And I also understand people that are accusing individuals of being involved in certain things, and that's not fair to them. They're dealing with enough as it is. I'm sure the police are looking into it. My hope is that we can discuss it and raise awareness about the situation, but be respectful. I think there is a happy medium between those two things.
Yeah, so theorying, I mean, it's strange. What we know so far is the partner's there. The partner's brought in an expert who has now caused more questioning, which to me puts the partner in a better light, if I'm being honest, right? Because why would you want to cause more confusion and distraction and fingers pointing if you were involved in it? You know what I mean? I guess you do that to try to make yourself look like a hero, maybe, but I don't know. I think this is clearly a partner who's upset and sick of the police's lack of doing anything, and has now called someone who's now called out the police. So that makes me wonder, well, then what else happened? And again, the theory would then be, could they have done this for money or whatever reasons, or she needed to get out of the relationship? all that seems less believable than the person. Now, what's strange though is the expert did say, well, why don't we hear any screams or struggle? That those are questions I'd have too. Like, was it someone she knew? It feels like it would have had to have been. Someone even said that, I think, in the police. Like, if this was a kidnapping of some kind, it would have to have been someone she knows who would have went off with her. But then why would she have left her phone and the dog like that? How did no one see someone kidnapping her? This is a bizarre case. That's where I'm stuck, because it's like, okay, did they know the CCTV camera, the only one there that wasn't on, was off? Did they turn it off? Do we know if that was fault? Like, because if we find out that that CCTV camera was damaged exteriorly, right, from the park or whatever, then that would even think there was more chance of foul play, right? I don't know if that was just an error internally from their system, that it just, ran out of battery or whatever, or if that camera was actually messed with. That would be another huge thing. So if the police learn that and they're covering it up, I'm at a complete loss of where it is. To me, it does seem like the other possibility, and I'm curious where you guys net on it. Is it literally a kidnapping, or do the cops know it is and they're trying to keep the calm while they're actually investigating? Because when we go back to Brian Koberger, everyone was freaking out. Oh, why haven't you guys figured out who did this? And they were pretty much on it pretty quick, quietly trying to get all the evidence that they could. Steph, do you feel like maybe we're just all overreacting and the police are maybe already on something to try to get this solved before the public really knows the details?
I don't think we're overreacting. I don't think the police know much because, again, they spent so much damn time on that river when I don't think it was wanted. Given the type of river that it is, it's like, why? You've just wasted time at the end of the day. She could be anywhere now. Could be searching elsewhere and could have possibly found her. The longer the missing, the smaller the window closes to actually firstly finding her, then finding her actually alive. I think they've wasted an immense amount of time. It's been absolute incompetence as far as I'm concerned. The second thing that I actually want to disagree with you on, Andy, is how could she be taken without anyone seeing? So this was during the morning, during the time of day where everyone's at work. Also, as well, the village that she's in is actually quite a very small village. There's not that many people in it. It's not like a city, if that makes sense. And so as she's walking, when you look at the timeline, there's only one or two people that really see her on that particular river walk that she was on. So it's not like it was hustling and bustling, full of people walking their dogs or anything like that. So there was a lot of opportunity for whoever did this to take her without anyone knowing, without anyone seeing. So do disagree with you on that, to be fair. But yeah, they're my thoughts at this point.
Kim, thoughts?
I think the whole situation is difficult. It's complicated. People are going to speculate whether the cops say that they shouldn't or not, but I think it's just important that we be respectful. And I hope in time the truth comes out.
Pterodactyl, member of 6 months, thank you for your support, says, I think the police don't want people speculating because it gives an opportunity to cover tracks if she's faking her death or if someone took her, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's where I was getting at as well, and that could be a reason. It'd be nice to know that there is a plan, and sometimes, obviously, we all jump the gun. But family is clearly distressed. You'd think they'd loop in the family to say, listen, we have more information on this. You got to trust us. You know what I mean? You'd think, without getting too specific, for the partner to be out there hiring better experts for the water, to me makes it seem like they don't know what's going on. I guess that's my final question. Do we think the cops know what's actually going on? Steph, yes or no?
Hell no. They don't know where their head and their backside is.
Kim, you agree?
I don't have a lot of confidence at this point. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I will say that. Natasha Ann says, my husband and family lives about 5 minutes away from the river. My sister-in-law has even helped with the search. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Natasha. Thank her for me. And yeah, I'm a lot of people have been stepping up to help this search. More will clearly be coming from this. I hope we have a resolution. As messed up as it would be, I hope she is found somewhere else, that'd be great, alive, to be able to go back to her kids. So the fact that she's not found in this river and the experts saying she's not there, I would say gives us a little bit more hope that maybe there is still time to find her somewhere else. Let's hope. Let's cross our fingers. So we will keep you posted as this case continues to baffle many online and across the pond. But there she is, Nicola Bulley, still missing, and hoping that we find her soon so her family can finally have some closure on this event or have her come home. That's the latest we have on this case. We will keep you updated. If you're watching on the replay, this is the show where we talk for a long time. We have lots more news to cover. Hit that join button next to the subscribe button. You can always watch the replays at your leisure. Make sure you subscribe to Steph the Alter Nerd. It's Kim as well, and support when you can, however you can, but at least hit that like button if you can.